the land we call home, the source of our life, our food, and our future. A conflict that tears at the very heart of Nigeria.
We see the pain, the shattered lives, and the broken trust. But what if we could mend what is broken?
LJE Nigeria invites government officials, traditional and religious leaders, farmers and herdsmen representatives, security agencies, civil society organizations, international development partners, and the general public to a 2-day national conference themed Securing Nigeria's Future, addressing the root cause of herdsmen-farmers conflict through justice and inclusive dialogue. Date 30th September to 1st October 2025. Venue Shehu Musa Yaradua Center, Abuja, Nigeria.
Join us as we address the root causes of this conflict through inclusive dialogue.
We will not just talk.
We will listen.
We will not just debate.
We will seek to understand.
Together, we will find solutions. What are we saying?
The land we call home, the source of our life, our food, and our future. A conflict that tears at the very heart of Nigeria.
We see the pain, the shattered lives, and the broken trust. But what if we could mend what is broken?
LJE Nigeria invites government officials, traditional and religious leaders, farmers and herdsmen representatives, security agencies, civil society organizations, international development partners, and the general public to a 2-day national conference themed Securing Nigeria's Future, addressing the root cause of herdsmen-farmers conflict through justice and inclusive dialogue. Date 30th September to 1st October 2025. Venue Shehu Musa Yaradua Center, Abuja, Nigeria.
Join us as we address the root causes of this conflict through inclusive dialogue.
We will not just talk.
We will listen.
We will not just debate.
We will seek to understand.
Together, we will find solutions. What are we saying?
Escalating insecurity across Nigeria, gunmen stormed military barracks, and also in Benue, police officers were reported killed. Osun State Governor bans graduation ceremonies of young pupils. Bandits in Katsina return kidnapped victims, warns government not to attack their camp. And on the third term denial, Obasanjo challenges critics to provide evidence of his ambition. Good morning and welcome to a special episode on Trends, where we dissect leadership, economic and justice issues in Nigeria, Africa and the globe to provide lasting solutions. I'm your host, Mohammed Ene Sule, and joining me today is a special panel whom I shall be introducing after the break. Do stay.
What are we saying?
The land we call home, the source of our life, our food, and our future. A conflict that tears at the very heart of Nigeria.
We see the pain, the shattered lives, and the broken trust. But what if we could mend what is broken?
LJE Nigeria invites government officials, traditional and religious leaders, farmers and herdsmen representatives, security agencies, civil society organizations, international development partners, and the general public to a 2-day national conference themed Securing Nigeria's Future, addressing the root cause of herdsmen-farmers conflict through justice and inclusive dialogue. Date 30th September to 1st October 2025. Venue Shehu Musa Yaradua Center, Abuja, Nigeria.
Join us as we address the root causes of this conflict through inclusive dialogue.
We will not just talk.
We will listen.
We will not just debate.
We will seek to understand.
Together, we will find solutions.
Welcome back from that show break. This is still Trend with LJE, and joining me today, development strategist Mr. Shedrack Oka. Thank you for being a part of today's episode.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, our president, Barrister Meme Samuel Esquire. Thank you for being a part of today's episode.
Thank you very much. Welcome, viewers.
Right, and our media analyst Omoyeni Ojefu. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you for always having me here.
Right, in a troubling development, a new and alarming report has emerged of gunmen attacking military barracks, reportedly seizing weapons as troops fled the onslaught. The incident, which left several dead and injured, adds to the growing list of security challenges across the nation. It comes from after a tragic attack in Benue State, where 3 police officers were killed. This event painted a grim picture of the escalating insecurity and the growing boldness of criminal elements. This has become something we wake up to in the country, and it's quite troubling that it's not just happening now to civilians, but also to security agencies. What does an attack on a military barrack and the subsequent seizure of weapons mean for national security in the fight against insurgency?
Well, Muhammad, I will just be flat and sarcastic by saying it means nothing if I must answer you in a word, because it is not new to us in Nigeria. Very unfortunate, I remember vividly in 2009, 2010, at the heart of the militancy in the Niger Delta region, people got used to hearing sounds of guns and machine gun, and it means nothing to them. As a matter of fact, if you are in the neighborhood and you hear ta 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 ta, people just behave normal. But when you hear a phone ring, people will turn around. So the sound of a phone ringing caught their attention than hearing bombs. They got used to it. Bloody Benue once again. I don't know how much blood people wants to share before the president will sit up to do the needful. What we see in Sena climbs, you get people being fired, you get people resign, people sacked for not doing their job. But in Nigeria today, we see you get rewarded for incompetence, you get rewarded for not meeting target, you get rewarded for not securing the lives and properties of Nigeria. It is actually the opposite. When this IGP's tenure was extended after he was due for retirement, Ashoro will always brand him illegal IGP, having served his tenure, both in age and age of service, but he's still there. So there are some arguments in other quarters that, people will feel that he was, got tenure extension because to complete certain jobs. For me, I could support that argument because Benue had been on the front burner at the time. So maybe the charge by the Mr. President to get things right, let him extend that so that police being the first charge, of crime fighting organization in the democracy, I felt he has that, calling to do something new. But every other time is bloodbath in Benue, and this time around they are attacking military facilities and killing security men. It is not new. They did that in the NDA and nothing happened. I think the criminals have been emboldened by the complacency of government. They have been emboldened every day by the inaction of government. And I can say, I remember in the 80s when one notorious criminal, Lawrence Anini, was terrorizing the then Benue State, Benin City, and his gangs. What happened when he was eventually, arrested? They shot him on the leg, and due to that confession that we got to discover that a DSP, the serving DSP in Nigerian police, was part of the criminal gang. But what we see in Nigeria today, when you arrest those people, extrajudicial killing, we don't see anything coming out, including generals. From the defense headquarters, we've seen military generals are complicit in this terror against Nigerians, but no prosecution. We just hear that and it ends there. DSS gives report and it ends there. So it is safe to say, without mentioning that the government are actually the one terrorizing Nigerians, because if you have intelligence report and you do nothing about it, you are being complicit. So without fear or favor, I would say all the blood that have been shed in Benue State, government is the number one culprit for shedding the blood of Nigerians. And it's very unfortunate that nothing is being done. But one day, perhaps, the people will wake up to self-defense, which is actually our last resort at this moment.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Barrister. Some few weeks ago on Trends, we analyzed a case where the essay for the president on security, Nuhu Ribadu, mentioned that the insecurity in Nigeria under Tinubu's administration is better than previous other administrations. In the light of these developments, attacks on the military and even police headquarters, does that really substantiate what he said, or is this not as much as we've been experiencing in other administrations?
Well, security issue is a very dicey one, and in a country where you have more people that are hungry than who are satisfied, of course, you definitely have high, rise of insecurity. I always say one thing for sure, that there is nothing really wrong with our security personnel as such, even though there are still few complaints here and there. But the major thing has to do with the policies of government, the policies of governance. And until we begin to realize this, until the government begin to do the right thing and begin to channel the right energy to the right area, then this security issue will continue to grow. And again, look at what happened. What happened is is a wake-up call that you cannot police a system that almost everybody is angry. Joblessness, those in the communities, we don't know who is sponsoring them. Of course, I know that they have better information. But one thing I can tell you is that in a community where people cannot go to farm, in a community where people cannot carry out their businesses effectively as a result of inability of the government to do the right thing, definitely the insecurity will continue to rise. It's quite unfortunate that we have lost these gallant men for no reason, and we pray that God accept their soul. But for the government, both the states, the federal and local government, must begin to do the right thing, because this has nothing to do primarily on the federal government. We know that the federal government has more power to do what is right in terms of implementing policies. But what about the state government? I listened to I think it was the chief of defense staff. I listened to the interview in one of the TV stations, and some of the things he said, they are true. And he said that in some cases, when they get distress calls, to come and rescue community, the roads are bad for them to transport their men to the communities. So who is to provide the road? Is it the security agents that will provide the roads? No. So there is this shared responsibility between the federal, the states, and the local government. And we must begin to hold them accountable to do the right thing.
All right, thank you. What do you, media analyst J4? What is the level of unrest going on social media right now? Because many civilians are already scared, knowing fully well that even the barracks are not safe for the security agencies. Talk less of them. Mm-hmm. So what's the view of people, and how can the government at least communicate to the people that all is well?
Yeah, it's actually a pity to think that military barracks can, be attacked. I was watching an interview and the police PPRO said it means the police is doing something good, something right. That's why there are these reprisal attacks. But the people are scared. When our military personnel are being attacked, it means the people are not safe. So like you earlier said, the NSA said security is better now in Nigeria. If there are ways that they can put more efforts, more measures to make sure that these issues become a thing of the past, then it's something we want as Nigerians. We want our country to be safe for everybody.
All right, thank you very much. In our next story, the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has banned graduation ceremonies for nursery and kindergarten pupils in all private and public schools across the state. The governor's office stated that the move is aimed at curbing unnecessary financial burden on parents and refocusing on academic excellence rather than extravagant celebrations. The decision has sparked a heated debate amongst parents, school owners, and education advocates, with some supporting the move as a relief and others arguing it removes a motivational milestone for young children. I'll start with you, Omoyeni. What does this mean to parents?
I think it's a walk-up development, because those kids, the primary school children, pupils, right? They really don't know anything about that. So it's more like you're wasting your funds. Let them graduate, let them go to school and get to a better point of graduation before you invest such money, because it's just a total waste of funds. But then it's also part of recreation for the children. So banning it totally might not really be okay, I feel, because it's part of recreation for the children.
Because there are critics saying that that's a kind of motivational milestone.
Yes.
I graduated from kindergarten. You got to be more serious, the next
Exactly. Them, apart from that, they might not take it seriously, but the recreational part of it is what I think shouldn't be cut short. So let them just have it. But as per graduating from is a milestone, they don't really understand that. I don't think there's any.
How about you, President? Do you think this is something that other state governors or governments should actually imbibe?
Well, why I commend the governor for taking that step is I think is also very necessary, because this is bringing on healthy competition among parents of these the pupils. So for pupils for kindergarten, and of course I have my children who just graduated sometimes few months ago, and who have to be forced to pay a certain amount of money and all of those things. And for parents who do not really have the capacity to do so, of course, it will bring on healthy competition, like I said earlier. Why I commend the governor for at least paying attention to those little things, he should also pay attention to the development of Ondo State. Or is it Osun State? So he should pay attention to the things that really matters. The rules in Osun State are not so good. The development is not so good. In terms of even industries, we need to see. You need to provide information about what he has done beyond dancing, so that we can have a very good Osun State at the end of his tenure.
Any comments from you, Mr. Shedrack?
Yeah, we're in a country where the first lady of the country will be asking for urgent 2K for birthdays. So I don't see anything wrong if the private school owners are also asking for urgent 2K creatively. This is a country where anything goes. People formulate policies for themselves and, do things. For those of us that are parents, the pressure is just beyond the graduating people. How do you explain to a 3-year-old and 4-year-old who is not graduating, and you see the elder brother or sibling doing so much? You will be forced to pay so much for every other person. So those pressures are there. But again, to the dancing governor, I think you should look beyond that. Why people are clapping is a welcome development for taking off such pressure, but there are a lot more things that I think our education or institutions at that level do that is mind-blowing. For instance, I see a lot of parents 2 weeks ago on social media complaining, why should my kid in maybe primary 2 not use the textbook that the older one used in the other class? That in those days, when you use your elder brother pass books to you, it's same book, same school. Because now they have to invent a way where you do your homework or home fun inside the textbook, so that by the time you finish, the other person will not use it. I mean, that is extortion. It's robbery, daylight robbery. It's not good. So they should look at all those things holistically and not just single out just one. The problem is that we must face our educational philosophy at once, holistically, not trying to import one Chinese language as our skid makers who prepare for takeover. I'm taking my Chinese classes very seriously. I think the government should look at this whole issue holistically and then make a change at once.
Thank you so much. Back to security or insecurity. A notorious band leader in Katsina State has returned kidnapped victims to families, but issued a stern warning to the government. The bandit, by name Isia Gwashen Garwa, has accused security forces of attacking his camp despite an ongoing peace deal, and has threatened to resume hostilities if the government fails to rein or continues to rein on his military operations. This development highlights the fragile nature of peace talks with criminal groups and the complex dynamics of insecurity in the north. I'll start with you, Mr. Shedrack. Last week, you talked about the government silence on northern cases of banditry as compared to the eastern. But currently, does negotiating with these bandits and accepting their conditions, such as returning kidnapped victims, set a dangerous precedent for the government?
Dangerous precedent is an understatement. I think this whole issue is laughable, because if a government will take a tweet by Omoyele Sowore and to say it is a threat to national security and all that because he abused the president, which should be taken care of by the court. I think now they are in court, but they are not worried with what is happening now. This whole issue, it's a mockery to our nation, giant of Africa. We see our military crippled, sitting down same table with bandits, adorning themselves with military uniform, brandishing all the weapons, and this is what you get. Again, I have just taken for myself the pleasure to continue to highlight the ethnic, coloration of how government react to issues in this country, because I see people will be silent, they don't know what is going on, but I have taken it to myself until people in authority see that these things that they are doing, people are taking record of it. Remember very well how many military men died in Delta State. Baramatu Kingdom was ruined down. The King's Palace was demolished. People died. They killed a lot of people there because a soldier died. But what do you have in the north? I keep saying, I make reference to the north. You have criminals who will kill over 500 citizens of Nigerians. You will go back with military escort, bring him and his gangs, adorn him, sit down, fried rice, chicken, sew new clothes for them, fly them on airplane. What Buhari started, you sit down the same table with them, and then you escort him back to his base. You know his territory, you know his camp. He is there with captives, and then he will come out and release 40 people and give warning to government. And tomorrow you'll be chasing what P2B somewhere who made a comment, he says it's demarketing Nigeria. I don't understand. People are sick. People in government are sick. This is clear psychosis, because I don't understand how you sit down with that guy that I know that if you call some vigilante men and give them marching order, I can bet you in 30 days they will pursue these people from those places. But what do we see is a direct representation or graphic to portray that people in government are actually the ones sponsoring these people. These people are just, their mouthpiece doing business for government. How then do you interpret that? That one ragtag militant bandit will come out and be telling Nigeria, nothing is wrong with our security agents. Mr. President just said so now. Nothing is wrong with their weapons. Nothing is wrong with the motivation. Nothing actually is wrong. But what we see is people in government directly doing business with taxpayers' money. And that's what I see. It is very shameful, to say the least, that the Chief of Army Staff will condone this. Chief of Defense Staff will condone that, and see what is happening now. Of course, it is not surprising to us again, because they have oftentimes said generals are behind these things. They have said it. It is the first time I'm a military, I'm a barrack boy. My father served in the military for 30 years and retired. We know what happens there. You cannot tell me that what is going on here, for the first time, mutiny, people talking back at their generals, at their commander, it doesn't happen in the army. But because they have polarized the system, politicized everything, and they are doing direct business, and these people in the front line are seeing it. That is the reason why for this disobedience in the military. Very shameful, and is very, very disgraceful that the Nigerian army has been reduced to this laughable because of our leadership. And of course, what the government do is to negotiate with people like that, and they reward. I keep saying reward them. When they want to give appointment to you, they look at it. These people, does it have notoriety for disobeying the rule of law? Say yes, they are what? I think that's what they are doing there. And these things have indirect impact to our war against insecurity, because it's emboldening criminals. Of course, you see the reports read in Benue, in Plateau, and other places. Criminals will take up more arms. It is very, very sad.
Over to you, Barrister. Many people, some Northerners have said that the peace talks at least yielded the result of 50 to 70 people coming in. Do you think these peace talks are a sustainable way of controlling, what is happening in the north?
A peace talk without development is nothing. I keep saying this thing because there is a way you tackle the issue of security. While you are pushing the military, pushing the police to get these guys arrested, then these areas are also volatile areas. There is no sign of presence of governance in those areas, and there is high rate of poverty. People can't even still go to farm in those areas. So what do you expect? it will be easy for you to convince some of these young youths around there to join these militant groups and to join, whether you call them Boko Haram, whether you call them bandits or whatever you choose to call them, they are still fighting against the state, fighting against the people. So where there is no opportunity for people to thrive, they resort into crime. There is no two ways about it. It is earlier we realize this thing on time and begin to tackle this, bringing up the solutions that is necessary, the earlier and the better for us. So for me, it is quite something not so palatable to hear that we are still facing this issue as a people and as a country. But we will still continue to experience this thing. The state governments, in almost all the state governments in this country, they are not doing so well. Particularly those even in the north, they are not doing so well. They are not listening to the people. They are not bringing up the development that is necessary and needed at this 21st century for the people to thrive. And you find out that when people go into crime, they kidnap and they pay ransom. So they get the money that they cannot get through development. If government had provided development, it is very difficult to go into crime. Very, very difficult. Unfortunately, it is now much easier to go into crime in Nigeria. So what Nigerian government should begin to do, whether from the federal, the state government, but especially the state government, they should begin to create an enabling environment for the people. When you create an enabling environment for the people will be happy. They will protect themselves. They will fight for themselves. If you provide good roads, electricity, then the people will feel the presence of government and presence of governance. But what you see is a few people staying in the state capitals, enjoying the commonwealth of the people. And you expect those in the local community to do what? Somehow they will find themselves into crime. And this is what we should begin to... there's nothing we have not said now that have not been said before. And Nigerian people, Nigerian government should realize that in as much as this, look at what this guy is saying. A terrorist sending a signal. There are some comments you make from the studio right now. The next moment, people will invite you. Fortunately. All right? But we are here to provide solutions. We need to encourage ourselves that this country belongs to all of us. We must work together to see that we have a prosperous Nigeria. So it's quite disheartening. And for the young man who feel that he's above every circumstance in this country, he is not above. The military should map out plans to get him and destroy the camp. There's nothing will happen. Everyone will not fall.
Thank you very much for that. Any comments on that?
Yeah, just to add to what Mr. President said, we shouldn't leave these issues in the hands of federal government alone. State governments should also come together. Stakeholders, corporate organizations come together, create awareness, educate these people, enlighten them. Let them know the harms of what they are doing and let them understand that this is not the way forward. So we shouldn't leave everything in the hands of the federal government and expect solutions because, like he said, we've been talking about this, it's been going on, and it's not going to end now. So there's nothing that we're saying here that has not been said before. We just need to come together and make sure that we put things in place to make our country safe again for us.
Thank you very much. In our final story, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has once again addressed the persistent rumor of his third-term bid, challenging any individual or group to provide evidence that he have ever requested an extension of his tenure. Speaking in a public event, Obasanjo stated that he is not a fool and that if he had wanted a third term, he would have found a way to achieve it, just as he successfully secured debt relief for the country. The former president's statement has reignited a conversation about his legacy and political climate of the time. I'll start with you, Mr. Shadrach. Why does this issue of third term continue to haunt Nigeria's political discourse, and what does this say about the politics of perception and power and leadership?
Well, I don't know why this continue to reoccur in political arena, but what I see, it actually reminded me of what really happened at the time. I remember the debate on the day of voting. the Israel Senate President Adolphus Wabara, when it was his turn, having been impeached or sacked by the Obasanjo administration over some allegations of bribery, 55 million naira bribery or so. So when it was his turn to come out, he came out as though to concur, and he said, my people said I should vote no to Tote, and everybody started laughing. It was sort of a drama. But you know why I brought that up? If it was this current CD that we have, this current National Assembly of Akpabio, everybody knows Tote would have been a done deal. And of course, Obasanjo saying that if he really wanted it, he would have gotten it. I believed him also, if it was really his idea. And what I deduct from his statement was that a lot of things that goes on the presidency is not solely the idea of the president. It's just a bunch of political merchants around the president who uses the name of the president to perpetuate this kind of evil against the people, just to extend their own greed. That is what I see. I remember vividly also during Yaradua, I will see budget, somebody who is incapacitated, someone in the hospital, budget being signed, statement being made. It was a group of people, what they call the cabas today. It happened during President Muhammadu Buhari. And Babachi Lawa once said that famous statement, who is the presidency? You keep on hearing presidency said, who is the presidency? So there are a bunch of greedy politicians who will now hijack the presidency to make this kind of thing. So Obasanjo said, I'm not surprised. So for me, the only shameful thing is that he's unable to name names. Because political actors were behind that term who put it into his head that you could elongate so that you can complete some of your things that you want to do. But that is one thing I hate about Nigeria. We never got to have elder statesmen. People are still scared of speaking. The other time was President Jonathan who was talking about how he was threatened to death as a sitting president. And now you are out of office. You still loved your life above and beyond the people that you have governed. Nobody can make statements. You can't name names. We love life so much. The detriment of 200 million and the destiny of our country. It's a shame that Baba Obasanjo at his age will still be beating around the bush around these things. He's one of our most respected elder statesmen who have shed blood for this country. So at this point, talking about third term and still living in denial and not be able to name names and state certain things that people should hear, not to come out like IBB after how many years you come out to write one memo and still dribbling around with your name, the dribbler Maradona, and still dribbling around those things. I mean, those things they are insult to our sensibility. If you want to speak. Don't tell us things we already know. Our drivers are common citizens. Your cooks are common citizens. So there's actually nothing secret about those things you guys are hiding. Only that we don't have the official capacity to make those statements. So if you want to say something, say something. Of course, the third term, the imagination of a few people who cooked up those, and we still see those around today. Even with the Tinubu administration, tomorrow we see a lot of things that are happening. The idea of court ruling that a senator should not be suspended beyond 2 weeks, and somebody will suspend the senator for 6 months. Do you understand? Trampling down on the law. It's just because there are a group of people who say nothing will happen. Just go ahead and do it. So tomorrow Akpabio can come up and say I wasn't the one. Of course, we just made this flat statement. So what does it add to us? Nothing. But I thank God it was not Akpabio's administration would have been, Ambassador would have gotten that third term, what they call the rubber stamp, beginning from Ahmed Lawal and up till now, it's still extended as rubber stamp, sealed unapologetica, because anything Mr. President does is a thumbs up for them. It is very sad.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Any contributions on that, Barrister?
Well, I think Obasanjo, any person who is trying to bring in Obasanjo into this issue is just trying to draw necessary attention. We know it is not practically impossible for Obasanjo to come in. That is an old story. So shouldn't really bother ourselves talking about what is not possible. There are so many important things that is bothering us as a people.
And the third term of next president. Thank you very much for that. Obasanjo challenges critics to provide evidence of his ambition. Don't forget, you can always be a part of the conversation by dropping your comments on our social media platforms on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at LJE Nigeria. You can also be a part of our conference by visiting our website on www.ljenigeria.org/con 2025. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. See you on Wednesday.
The land we call home, the source of our life, our food, and our future. A conflict that tears at the very heart of Nigeria.
We see the pain, the shattered lives, and the broken trust. But what if we could mend what is broken?
LJE Nigeria invites government officials, traditional and religious leaders, farmers and herdsmen representatives, security agencies, civil society organizations, international development partners, and the general public to a 2-day national conference themed Securing Nigeria's Future, addressing the root cause of herdsmen-farmers conflict through justice and inclusive dialogue. Date, 30th September to 1st October 2025. Venue, Shehu Musa Yaradua Center, Abuja, Nigeria.
Join us as we address the root causes of this conflict through inclusive dialogue.
We will not just talk,
We will listen.
we will not just debate.
We will seek to understand.
Together, we will find solutions.
What are we saying? The land we call home